Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Erik Rind. He's the CEO of ImagineBC. We're going to take a look at participating in the economics of your data. I think this is really interesting, Erik. Do you think people understand the value of their data, and do you think this could create a fundamental shift in money?
The answer to that is no, I don't think people understand the value of data. I think we're only at the beginning point of them becoming aware of it. Certainly there's starting to be some talk down on the Hill. We see Senator Warren and a couple of other top politicians starting to ask serious questions about what is the value of people's data and should they share in that value equally. So we're only at the very beginnings of that.
And do you think that this could be a fundamental shift in the flow of money, the economy?
Absolutely. In fact, we like to say it could be the greatest shift of wealth known to mankind. If you think $235 billion spent in advertising alone last year, but we, the people whose data is being used for all the targeting of that advertising, we receive nothing from it. But if you start to move that, think what we all could do with that money.
So tell us about ImagineBC.
So ImagineBC it just doesn't happen overnight. So we decided that, hey, people need an alternative. So we built a mobile application that will allow people to slowly become involved in what we hope is a new ecosystem that says, hey, I like the idea that I could potentially control my information. I make the decisions, and the larger our community will grow, the more we'll hopefully be able to attract advertisers into the community. And it's not just my personal data, but it's also my personal intellectual property. I need to stop giving away things to, my recipes and all of that. That paradigm, which started in like 2000, has run its course. It needs a shift, and we all need to be fairly compensated for the things we create, the way it was before the change of the millennium.
There are a number of startups, relatively same kind of platform within your space. What separates ImagineBC from the pack? Yeah,
most of the startups in our space right now are focusing only on the monetization of personal information, where we're really focused on the monetization of intellectual property. Personal data comes into it because you have this concept of what I'm giving up is free. I used to get this content for free, now you want me to pay for it. Well, if we can change what the definition of free is, that's what becomes interesting, which is if I can put my data to work for me, then when I net out, I may still be a little ahead and I'm still getting all my content, but even more importantly, the people who are providing that content are now being properly compensated for it.
Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and it's almost like we're on data overload. Would you say we are in the beginning innings of this? I mean, clearly we haven't reached the peak.
No. I'm not sure there is a peak because we constantly produce data about ourselves. It changes, just this woman walking down the street right there is saying something about herself. So no, it's not at the peak. What we hope is we're coming to a tipping point where we, the people, say enough's enough, and it's not these third parties who should be benefiting from this, but I should share in that, and I should have the lion's share of that for where my data is driving this economy.
Interesting. Democratizing data, that's interesting.
That's all it's about.
All right, so let's wrap it up here. What would businesses get out of ImagineBC?
A wholly new medium to advertise. So today, a business advertising on traditional platforms, on digital platforms, there's a lot of negative connotations going along with these platforms now. There's fraud, click fraud going on in the digital platforms. I left the traditional platforms because I wasn't getting to the eyeballs I wanted to. I had more control in the click, but they're not working well. And also on the other side, the consumer side of it, I'm tired of stuff popping up at me, right? That's annoying. So what ImagineBC is trying to do is, hey, we can still have the best of both worlds. You can still get to the people you want to because the people want you to approach them, but it's going to be on their terms. They'll decide when to watch the ad if they want to watch the ad. So it's really a nice balance. So the business now has switches from what's becoming a negative a drag on their brand to hopefully a very positive aspect to the brand, especially since we also have this huge social giving aspect. So now if an advertiser puts $1 into our ecosystem, at least 10% of that dollar will be contributed back to social causes. No other platform can say that.
Well, that's a win-win for sure.
Yes.
All right, Erik, thanks so much for joining us at MarketSite.
Thanks for having me, Jill.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.